BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hi, Gary Lineker here. A quick word before we start. Don't expect your normal match of the day analysis on this pod, and there might be some bad language. In fact, there is. We're footballers after all. Cheers. Hello and welcome to Match of the Day Top 10. We're still in our homes. Ian Wright, Alan Shearer are in theirs. How are you doing, guys? Are you learning any new skills while you're stuck indoors? Bit of bread making or?
I know I'm a poor cook. I'm a terrible DIY man. What I've learned about being in here is that football I'm blessed with football. If I didn't have that, I'd have all.
What do you mean by that, Righty?
I am thick as shit.
No, that's definitely not true. Not in the slightest bit true.
I'm useless. No, I'm not joking. I'm useless around the house. My 10-year-old, she's telling me what to do. I'm literally at her beck and call. Okay, Dad, you do it like this and do that. The homework, don't even get me started on the homework. I'm running a mile from the homework. I can't even do a 10-year-old's homework.
Do you think your time in the jungle's helped you, Ian, for this?
You know something? If I'm going to be totally honest, what the time in the jungle, all it done in respect of preparing me for this is I've got things to do. The problem you have in there is there's nothing to do where you are literally chewing your tongue. It's just like an absolute nightmare. At least now I can do stuff. I can do stuff in the house. Not very good, but I can do it.
And you're not getting paid a fortune at the minute like you did in the jungle.
You shut up, Al. Why'd you have to bring money into everything?
I'm no good at cooking. I'm all right at cutting the grass and cleaning patios, though.
You've done plenty of that.
I've done that.
What about the dog?
And dog walking and cycling and practice my putting on the carpet.
Yeah. Well, you can tell we're all getting a little bit bored by everything because this week, just for a bit of fun, we've decided our top 10 is the top 10 craziest moments in Premier League history. So a little bit different this week, but hopefully it will be a bit of fun. Here are
this is my
the
favourite.
top 10 craziest moments, bonkers moments, call them whatever you want. Here they are. In no particular order, and how we vote what's the winner, I don't know, but anyway, we'll do it. The Cantona kick, Bowyer and Dyer fight, Suarez biting Ivanovic, Pardew headbutting David Mailer, Darren Bent scored against Liverpool, goal deflected off a beach ball, Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira in the tunnel, Arsenal players attacking Ruud van Nistelrooy after he hits the bar with a penalty, the Kevin Keegan, I would love it moment, Di Canio pushing over the ref, and Tamuri Bowyer repeatedly kicking the advertisement boards after scoring at St James's Park. I don't know where we start with this, but there are some crazy moments in football.
Can I say, I'm not just saying it, but it's like when I was younger, you just love watching things what went wrong and weren't meant to happen and stuff like that. But like, for me, this is my favourite. It's my favourite 10 countdown because there's, like I say, even the Bowyer, just going back, Al reminded me of the Bowyer when we was getting ready to do it. I swear to God, that for me is a 10-time watch. I cannot watch that once. It's a 10-time watch. I love it. You know, you go back, you speak about something like Suarez, Ivanovic. He bit him. He bit him.
Again, yeah.
He bit him. And we got a manager headbutting a player. You know? Yeah. It's just like, it's brilliant. It's fantastic, this is. I can't wait to do this.
Yeah, I only wish they'd had a camera in that West Ham referee's dressing room.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That didn't happen. What? I thought we said we weren't going to mention that. You shouldn't have mentioned it because I don't remember because I blacked out. I blacked out with pure anger, so it doesn't count, that one. And plus, there's no cameras to prove it. It actually didn't happen. I didn't smash the referee's room up and throw all their gear and smash the television and throw it all in the bath. I didn't do that.
Alan, I don't know whether it's anything to do with you, but one or two of these incidents, you were on the field.
I know there could have been another one in there as well. When I was at Blackburn, we went to play in Moscow, the Champions League. David Batty and Graham Lasso also fighting as well, teammates. I was in that game as well, so Yeah, it might just be me.
You know what? You're captain quality. You can't control your players.
I wasn't captain then, you idiot.
You didn't deserve to be. You didn't deserve to be. You can't control players.
Yeah, how we put these in any sort of order, I don't know. But Alan, you go first. You're 10 down to 6. I suppose in terms of how much they amuse you. Let's do it that way.
Yeah, that's a better way. I've gone Kevin Keegan, I would love it, in number 10.
Wow.
Darren Bent with the balloon in 9. Tamuri Kitts Bowyer is in 8. Yeah. I've gone Keenan Vieira in the tunnel 7, and the Arsenal players Ruud van Nistelrooy in 6.
At last, Roy Keane's not going to win one. Let's start with Keegan, because obviously it was, it's your club, Newcastle. They were going so well in the league, and it just got to him, didn't it? He just lost it in an interview, really. He just got so emotional.
I've got that much higher.
Alex had got to him. That's who had got to him, because I think back in February, Newcastle had that 12-point lead, and then Man United slowly but surely were chipping away at it, and you can imagine the pressure that they're under. And then, he fell for it hook, line and sinker, didn't he, in that interview? And they've still got to go to Middlesbrough and get something.
Yeah, but the thing with that is, from the outside looking in, obviously, it was you guys, it was Man United, you lot were hammer and tongs, it was really close. And the way Sir Alex just threw in, I think he said, yeah, well, we're Man United, so Leeds ain't going to try.
He just bit, didn't he? He bit so badly, didn't he?
Leeds ain't going to try. I think he mentioned something about Middlesbrough, but what it was is that what I love about it, why it's so much higher in mine, is because he was doing the interview, and you can see he's doing an interview, but this is one thing, but you can actually see his head working, getting more and more angry. And so then when he went like that, I tell you what, when that happened, I fell on the floor. We're talking about somebody who's right here. I absolutely loved it. I loved it. It's one of the best. It's way up there. You ain't putting it in there because obviously it's Newcastle. It's way up there. That's one of the greatest things I've ever seen on TV.
Yeah, mad.
It was hilarious. Can you remember the Darren Bent one when it hit the ball? Have you never scored one off a beach ball in?
It's just ridiculous how he didn't. It's ridiculous how he didn't disallow that goal.
Did Darren Bent go running away as well, celebrating the goal, didn't he?
Well, yeah, he did. Yeah,
wouldn't you? You would do. I would.
I would have.
I would. Yeah. Expecting it to be disallowed.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
What's the funniest thing you've ever seen thrown onto a football pitch?
No, but you're going to tell us a story, aren't you? You must have had something thrown at you then, have you?
No, but I wish I'd had a bog roll thrown at me in 1990.
Yeah.
That would have been
handy. You know something I was going to ask you? How, can you just go through and hopefully, obviously people are not snacking at this time. Yeah. But the fact is when you felt the emotions, what was you thinking? Because I'm at that stage now. When it happens, I've got to go. What happens with you? What happened with you then?
Well, thankfully it wasn't a Premier League moment, so it won't make this top 10. But
it's an amazing moment.
I'd been ill overnight, and it was the opening day of the cup, and I'd woke up a few times, bit of diarrhoea, etc. But I didn't want to tell Bobby Robson because I thought he might leave me out of the team, and I wanted to play. So as always, and anyway, the game started, and I was all right. And then about 20 minutes in, I started cramping, and I thought, oh crap! And somehow I managed to last till half time. And then
was you shouting?
Shouting?
Yes.
No,
yeah,
I was holding my shot in, and I managed to hold it in until I got to half time, and then I had a good shot. So anyway, so I thought I'd be all right. So second half, out we go. I don't know what it was, 10, 15 minutes in, and they're starting to cramp again. It was like, oh Christ, I'm in trouble here. And the ball went down the Irish left-hand side, and I ran across, and I tried to block something, and I fell to the ground, and I relaxed for a second, and it just went boom, and it was like,
God.
Oh my God. And but it was like it was coming. And there's a bit, if you ever see the footage, but Gary Stevens runs over and he goes, "What, Links, what, you all right?" And I went, you can see, I go, "I've shit myself." And I just didn't know what to do. So I'm trying to shovel it out of my... Thank God we had blue shorts on that day. Dark blue shorts. I'm shoveling it out.
Come on.
And then in the end, I thought, I was rubbing myself like on the grass with like a dog.
Oh, like
thankfully,
a dog.
It had rained the night before and I could manage to get... It was amazing how much space I found after that, though. I was stinking. And then, you know what was really unlucky? Was that in the end, I got so bad, Bobby Robson took me off and I think Steve Ball came on. And for the last 7 or 8 minutes... And you know, like every ground pretty much has the dugouts right next to the tunnel. So I was thinking, oh, it'd be handy, I'll just go down the tunnel. But on this ground, no. The 2 dugouts were on the opposite side of the pitch to the tunnel. So I had to go and sit on the bench with all the subs. And I'm reeking. And you could see everyone just shuffling away from me like that. I was sat on my own feeling sorry for myself with a load of mosquitoes all over me. It was dreadful. Anyway, thanks for...
Anyway.
Very true.
Oh, man.
Very true. Let's shift it to Ket's Bowyer, which is obviously...
Wow.
Were you playing in that day, weren't you, Alan? Weren't you playing?
Well, I was on the bench as well because Kenny was manager. Kenny Dalglish was manager. And I was coming back from a long-term injury, and both myself and Tamuri. And Kenny put me on before him. He wasn't happy at being left out of the lineup anyway, so you had the right hump with him being on the bench. Then Kenny put me on before him, which he wasn't best pleased about. Then he actually got onto the pitch, and I think the score was 1-1, and we were coming up to the 90th minute. And I've headed the ball back across and into his path, and it was a brilliant finish. So we're about to win the game, and then I just see him going absolutely berserk. He got his top off. He was booting the Hordens. He tried to get his boots off as well. God knows what. He chucked his top into the.
Do that. It was hilarious.
Just trying to make a point, but he was slightly different. Was Tamuri. Georgian,
in what way?
Hard as nails. I remember us also going on a team bonding trip. One of the managers took us paintballing, and he was on the opposite side to us. And in the paintball, he crept up behind one of our guys. And he actually pushed him on the floor, Aaron Hughes, and if you've been paintballing, you know these things hurt you when you're up close. He was actually pinging them into Aaron on the floor. He was shouting, "Stay down, you stay down there." And he was actually pretending he was shooting him with the paintballs, and you could hear Aaron screaming. He was in agony. So he was slightly different, was Tamuri, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant stuff.
That's one of the best.
We had to go and get his when he wouldn't stop kicking the Hordens because he chucked his top in. The crowd wouldn't chuck his top back, so we had to go and plead with the crowd to get his top back so we could continue the game.
That's like the kind of celebration you'd do, Ian, I think.
What? No. To be honest, I always like it when and it happened to me. You mentioned about the referee's incident what I had, and it was when you get sent off. I always, when you're sitting at home and you think to yourself, just get off. When you see a player trying to go and remonstrate with the referee more, trying to walk around this way, walk around that way. When I watch it, I think, just get off. And I've done that, and I just hate seeing players who don't go straight off, and I did it. And so it was really weird because what happened with me, what happened is that as I got off and I felt there was an injustice, a massive injustice, Ian Hart, he went down like a sack of potatoes. I didn't even touch him properly. I think we ended up losing the game 5-1. And then what happened was, is that as I walked off and I was seething and I walked past and I just went like that. I saw the referee's room and that was it. Until I came out, I didn't remember anything. And when I came out and I went like that, and as soon as I went like that, David Hillary was standing there. And I actually think I said to him, "What are you looking at?" And then I walked off to the dressing room. I didn't even take my kit off. I took my clothes off the peg and drove home straight away then. And then Harry phoned me later on and said, What happened? I said, What you heard? He said, "What do you mean what I've heard? What happened? What happened to the referee's room?" I said, He said, "Don't bloody and me. What are you talking about? I know what you've done. You're Ian Wright. You're going crazy like a lunatic. He went into it, and I said, Harry, I've got to go. He said, you get back in here tomorrow. I want you in here tomorrow morning. So I had to go in on Sunday morning. We had to all sorts of go. The FA people were phoning up and everything. It was a nightmare. So the thing is that at the time, I got to finish it off by letting people know, at the time I was having anger management counselling. So, it did help me when I went to see the FA and the disciplinary committee.
Oh, that's brilliant. What's the closest you've been to losing it, Alan, on the pitch?
Probably one of the ones we're going to talk about in Kieron, Dyer and Lee Bowyer when they went at each other. Certainly in the dressing room after the game, it was one of the worst ones I'd lost it here when two teammates were fighting. So incredible there.
Brilliant, that was.
Right, Alan, you've got Keane and Vieira in the tunnel. It's obviously a very famous incident. It didn't actually completely kick off, but there was a tension there, wasn't there? Real tension.
Oh, you could see it, couldn't you? Roy wanted to was desperate to get out on the pitch, and I can remember him pointing, "Let's get out there, and then we'll see. Get out there, and we'll see." The number of times where you go into tunnels over the years, and people have offered to take you out on the pitch or get in the dressing room. I'll fight you in the dressing room, whatever it is. You must have done that a few times, right? Oh, I know you did. Yes, you did. You did it all the time.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. The people keep talking about me and Brucey, but it didn't happen.
Come on, tell us what happened.
No, I can't tell the Brucey story.
Yes, you can.
You know, the thing is that we was at Old Trafford, and I used to always try to run off of Brucey, and to be honest, Brucey always played me pretty well, you know what I mean? He always got me booked, so I had to be a little bit calmer. I remember there was one particular incident, so the tunnel's down that end at United, we know it's down there, and then me and Brucey having a little like tete-a-tete up here, bang, man, and he was giving it all that, and he said, right, that's it, you, giving me all the effing, I've effing had enough of you, I'll see you in the tunnel, I went like that, yeah, so you do that to him. So then the whistle goes, and then, you know when you got to run down there, and then Brucey runs past me, he does that to my shoulder, bang, and I've gone, and he's like, see you in the tunnel, and I went, oh, hell, I went to myself, I said, oh, Brucey's going to get me. And so the problem I had is that Tony Adams and Boldy are already too close to the end, so I haven't got no backup. So the biggest guys
had left here.
So the biggest guys have gone in. So I tried to run down really quick, but when I got in the tunnel, Brucey was waiting for me, fist clenched, standing. Right, that's it, Russ, that's it, you. I've had enough of you. And like I played possum. I said, whoa, Brucey, what's happening, man? Listen. Come on, Brucey, man, you know how it is. But all the time I was talking, because you know you have to get closer. I was getting closer to him, and I said, all the time, I said, come on, Brucey, man, come on, man. It's just happened. Why don't you calm down? He said, I've had enough of you and your shit. Yeah. And then what happened was I got really close. As I got close, I thought, yeah, I mean, arm's shot here. And I just, as Brucey was going, listen, and he put his arms down, he went, I've had enough of you and I went, bang, right in his face.
Oh, no.
And then I ran off. And then it all kicked off, everybody's singing, I ran off in the tunnel and that and everything, and then afterwards, I went straight on the coach. Dicko and Boldy and everybody said they were in the lounge, and the lounge doors like open like that. Bam! Where is he? I was already sitting on the coach. I was already sitting on the coach, and then what happened was, because I spoke to Incy, me and Incy shared rooms when he was at England, and so Incy phoned me on the Sunday morning and said, you out of order. You bang out of order, right? Bang out of order. You got to phone it, because he went in with Brucey. So then him and Brucey were in the car. And I remember, like, he said, right, you got to apologise, you're out of order. And I said, I got the first said, and I kind of went like that, Bruce is sorry, man. I'm really sorry. It was just, I actually said to Brucey, as my stepdad said, if you're bigger than you just got to get the first punch. And I'm sorry, Bruce, I didn't even want to punch you. But once I got close to you, I thought, it's just a cheap shot, I just might have done. You know what I mean?
Was it a proper little rabbit punch, was it?
No, I swung it from Brixton. It came down here. I was like, wham! It was like, wham! And then when he came out afterwards, Bruce's eye was like that. To be honest, it's really weird because when he went to Palace, he invited me down and done the stuff with the coaches. But there's a moment when he invited me, come down to Palace, do some stuff for the forwards. I actually thought he was going to get me there and beat me.
Brilliant. It's funny though, isn't it? It's funny how the game's changed a little bit in terms of those tunnel incidents, hasn't it? It's all very friendly now, isn't it? All
cameras everywhere. Cameras everywhere.
Do you prefer it now, or did you like it how it was, Al?
I liked it back then.
Well, you can't. There's not a lot really goes on nowadays. But I mean, some of the stuff that went on when I was coming into the game, when I was a 17, 18-year-old kid at Southampton. I was thinking, this is incredible. I mean, the proper fights in the dressing rooms were unbelievable.
No, I saw Martin Keown and Liam Daish having a fight in. You know how small the tunnel was at Arsenal. This fight, it was epic. It was so bad. I couldn't get out of the way. I was screaming. Ah! Ah! I was like, ah! It was like one of the best close encounter fights I've ever seen. Liam Daish, Martin Keown. It was amazing.
UFC.
Back in the Southampton days, the fights that went on between the own players and the manager. I remember we went in a game and we were terrible. Chris Nicholl came into the dressing room, and he went round the whole of the dressing room, and he went round and he delivered down verdict on everyone's performance from left to right. He went. And he got to Mark Dennis and he went. So Mark Dennis actually stood up and was wanting to have a fight with him. There was a fight with the own manager. Players wouldn't let him get together. The following day, all the players were off. Mark Dennis came in with his brother and his dad to fight the manager that next morning.
I can't beat either of those stories, but I do remember playing with, talking about tunnel incidents, I do remember playing with England against Yugoslavia, qualifier. I think it was to qualify for the 88 Euros or 90 World Cup, one of the two. And we had to get a draw away in Yugoslavia in the last qualification game. And in the tunnel in Belgrade, they had like this kind of wire mesh fence between the two teams. And we went down the tunnel. You know Terry Butcher, Big Butch, was always quite frightening before a game. And he used to do this in the dressing room. He used to go, cage tigers, come on. He was one of those like rallying kind of guys. And we got in this tunnel. You know Yugoslavians are all like strong and they're all stood there in the thing. And suddenly, Butcher gets hold of this mesh cage and he's shaking it. He's going, cage tigers! And you could see all their players going, what the is this? Who is this guy? And we were 4-0 up in 20 minutes. I don't know whether it had anything to do with it, but it was extraordinary. Anyway, we've kind of lost our subject. Well, it's the same subject. We've done Kieron Vieira, but that clash between those two, it was part of that era, wasn't it?
Yes, and you know what the thing about it is that it was an era where that particular time, that Arsenal in that particular moment, I think they were behind Chelsea. I think they lost to Chelsea, but I think when you looked at it was the Keane and Vieira and the rivalry of them, and I remember Patrick leading into knowing that we were playing against United the Saturday. You could actually see his demeanour and his intensity in training go up a notch, sharper. You know what I mean? He played a lot quicker. He was a little bit more tense. He was a little bit more. Yeah. You know, it was brilliant to watch. I put that higher as well. I think that for the two players that they were and that incident in the tunnel, it was brilliant for those times. Those times of great players going at it because they were just winners.
Yeah. In 6, Al, you've got the Ruud van Nistelrooy incident, which also involves our colleague and friend Martin Keown, doesn't it?
No surprise that Martin's involved there, was it, Righty?
You know the thing with what people got to understand with Martin Keown is that you want him in your team. He's a winner, simple, pure and simple. In training, Martin would mark me on a daily basis, and I think once I left and Thierry came, he had problems with Thierry because he'd marked Thierry in training, and he would train like he plays. The same with Dennis. Him and Dennis would have a little, because that's how he was. It was about winning. It was about nobody getting an inch on him. It's about him dominating who he's playing against. And he was somebody, as a teammate, he was one of the best. But to play against is a nightmare.
Well, that ball came up, didn't it? And Van Nistelrooy and Vieira, wasn't it, went together and clashed. And then Vieira was on the floor and so had a little kick out at Ruud, didn't he? I mean, it wasn't that bad. He didn't connect with him at all. But of course, then in the last minute, that penalty was given, and then he missed it. Then you could tell that something was going to go off, and then Martin jumped straight into him, didn't he?
You'd hate that, wouldn't you? If you just missed a penalty and someone did that to you.
Oh, it's the worst.
No.
It's the worst. But I tell you what was really evident with that is the way that in that moment, that particular time, how much more aggressive and in Man United's face Arsenal were at that time. Man United at that time, they didn't really come back at them like I thought they would have, like they did years before. I thought that was a real telltale sign at that moment that Arsenal, the transition was happening not only in the football for that kind of particular period, but in respect of the aggressive nature in which Arsenal were playing with at that time.
And of course, if that penalty had gone in, there would have been no Invincible season.
No.
Yeah.
No, so it was meant to be.
Right, Ian, give me your 10 to 6. See if they differ in any way.
Okay, 10 to 6. 10, I've gone with Darren Bent Beachball. 9, Pardew. 8, Kitspire. I've gone 7, Suarez biting Ivanovic, which just what is bit him. Bowyer and Dyer, because I believe Bowyer and Dyer at 6. I believe 2 teammates to the point where you are on the pitch on a Saturday with the world looking, fighting is just unacceptable in any stretch of the imagination.
Bonkers.
Totally
bonkers.
madness.
Alan, you were on the pitch. You must have thought, what the hell is going on?
Well, there was a little bit of aggression shown in training with a couple of days leading up to the game.
Between those two
were between those two, yeah, because there used to be finishing sessions and they used to take the piss out of each other. There was a couple of choice words being said leading up to the game, and they were fighting for the same place in the team a lot of the times in the team together. I know in this game, it was just, you know what, it was just one of those days. We got battered off Aston Villa. We were already down to 10 men. Stephen Taylor, if you remember, got sent off for that ridiculous when he handled it and then pretended it hit him in the chest.
That should have been on here.
And then fell over. So I think we're getting beaten 2-0 or 3-0 at the time, and we're heading towards the end of the game. And there had been a couple of times where Kieron hadn't passed to Lee Bowyer, and I could remember Lee sort of shouting things at Kieron, "Pass me that ball, will you?" And he still never passed him it again. And there was, on the last occasion, he didn't pass it, and they sort of said something to each other. Then I just saw them going together, and I'm thinking, I'm not seeing this right here. There's something not right. And then the referee sending them both off. Then we're down to 8 men. We've been dumped 3-0, 8 men, and everyone's just in disbelief. And then we get back into the dressing room, and I go berserk. And then the manager comes in, Graham Souness at the time, and he said to them, I remember him saying to the both of them, "You two if you want to fight, I'll fight the both of you now together. Come on, I'll take you both on."
Really?
Really, yeah. So we offered to take them both on, yeah. I know who my money would have been on as well.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Me too.
Oh, mad. Crazy.
Let's go on to another fight, slightly different this time. A manager on a player, Alan Pardew, headbutting David Malo. I mean, what was that about, Ian?
When you watch this one, I wouldn't say it was a major, like a real wham, proper Scottish headbutt. But it was at the same time,
wham,
you know what I mean?
Wham.
Yeah. Obviously you don't know how to headbutt. It's just got to be, you can't know it's coming. And I didn't think it was one of those.
Do you know what it is? I wouldn't. Newcastle were actually winning the game at the time as well, 3-1, weren't they? So they were struggling. Yeah.
It was a really strange one from Pards, and it was one of those where I believe that what he done was he really wanted to give him an head, but then he realised where he was. And it kind of like he was in the motion of doing it. It looked like it happened, but at the same time, what can you say? You know what I mean? It's one of those that it's just watching a manager headbutt a player. I thought that the Nigel Pearson, what about Nigel Pearson holding down?
Yes,
was
the holding down.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It was like a joke that went totally wrong. Because if he'd done that to me, I don't know what I would have done. Especially in my mode when I was playing. When I was playing, I was in a different mode, but I thought that one was worse than what Pardew done. He's holding him down. It's weird.
Yeah, that was extraordinary. Actually, we probably should have had that in the top 10, but I don't think anyone's going to be particularly bothered about who wins this one. That's for sure. You've got in in 7th place, Suarez biting. Alan's obviously got him a bit higher, but I mean, that was a remarkable moment, wasn't it? Obviously, he did it in the World Cup as well. So he's a nibbler.
Yes, he is a nibbler. He's got the teeth for it. He can eat an apple through a letterbox. But the thing with this one is maybe the tennis racket. No, letterbox. I like letterbox. Yeah, all right. But I think with this one could have easily been higher because I've got Ruud van Nistelrooy one, and with Martin and Ruud and how they just descended into just anarchy, Arsenal players in that particular moment. But this one, just like, what's wrong with you?
Well, the Ajax one was first right. He did it at Ajax. And then the Ivanovic one. And then I think afterwards was the Chiellini one, wasn't it? So there was 3.
And this is what happens when you're at school and in nursery. You always have one of your kids who's a biter and you have to say to them, no biting. No one obviously said that to Suarez. Suarez has never been told, do not bite people. Because he done it then, he done it in the World Cup and he done it with Ivanovic. And the thing is, when you looked at Ivanovic, you seemed like, I love these. I love them. Yeah.
I mean, when he did it, I think I was watching on Match of the Day that night. You just couldn't believe it. It was just an extraordinary thing. It's amazing. The replay came and 2013 wasn't it? I think that particular season.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
But that one, it's just weird. It's a weird thing. You just don't see it. You know, you don't see it. I used to grow my nails on purpose to scratch people in the neck because I just knew. I just like when they were sweating.
He did. He was one of those. Gary, he was one of those. You know, if you're on the floor, he'd come and pick you up by the inside of your arm and scratch your arm, or come and pat you on the neck and pull and scratch your neck. So you'd actually swing out, and then in the hope it'd get sent off, and then he'd walk away laughing.
That was Wisey. Dennis Wise was brilliant.
That was you as well.
Argentinians just pull that bit of your hair. Yeah. Just like act like they're touching you like that and they just pull your hair. I loved all that sort of stuff, but I used to like scratching. I remember Razor Runner said to me, Neil, said, I scratched him so much that when he went home, his missus at the time, she said, where's that? She said, it happened at the game. No way has that happened at the game. I said, I scratched him like that.
Right, let's get on to our top 5s, gentlemen, if that's okay.
Right.
As we're with you in, carry on with your 5 down to 1.
So I went with Van Nistelrooy, with the Arsenal boys at 5. I went Di Canio and the referee, Paul Alcock, at 4. Kevin Keegan, 3. You don't see a manager lose it like that and put him that low, Al. Vieira and Keane, I think, for the players and who they were in the clubs at the time, 2, and obviously Eric Cantona, the Kung Fu kick is easily number 1. Honestly, it's number 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Alan, why don't you give us yours as well? Because obviously who cares who wins, but go on.
I've gone the Dyer and Bowyer incident in 5, Alan Pardew, the headbutt in 4, Suarez in 3, Di Canio in 2, and Eric Cantona as in number 1.
Yeah. I thought that might win somehow. It was extraordinary. But we'll come to that. We'll come to that at the end. Let's try and work out the ones we've not talked about. Di Canio. But I mean, it was fun. There's something always mildly amusing about a referee falling over or getting hit by the ball or something like that. Yeah, but this one was particularly funny.
He went down easy, didn't he?
Too easy, ridiculously easy. And that is why. I remember when I scored, I was at West Ham at the time. When I scored, me and Razor Ruddock done it. We kind of like, we done the celebration with Razor pushed me and I went down like he did. He went down in installments. It was embarrassing the way Paul Alcock went down because that push a grown man should not go on the floor for that push, but he wanted the maximum amount of punishment to happen to Di Canio. Not saying
he was
that
trying to get him booked.
Absolutely. Not saying that Di Canio has got any leg to stand on in respect of pushing a referee, but come on, man. Look at that. There's no way Paul Alcock should have gone down for that. But
you know what? I thought the best part about that incident was when Nigel Winterburn went up to Paolo and he sort of flinched, didn't he? And he just as he was going off. Yeah.
No, I don't like that for Nigel because Nigel's not. I hate the fact that Nigel flinched like he did.
He was quite the character though, Di Canio, wasn't he? He was marginally bonkers.
Unbelievable. I remember we was at West Ham. When we were at West Ham, I remember like he would get away with murder in training because if decisions went against him in training, walk off. He'd walk off and you'd watch him walking down when we was at Chad. Yeah, he'd just walk off and he'd be talking Italian and his arms are going everywhere while he's walking. And like there's times where you'd be playing with him and like he'd be doing stuff and you say, Jesus Christ, Harry, get hold of him. And Harry said, oh, shut up, leave him alone. I don't even walking off. And so, you know what I mean? It was one of those situations where he was so intent on even the five-a-side games winning and it being fair. And it was like, I remember seeing one time Johnny Moncur was in on a Saturday because we had an unbelievable like characters in that team. Me, Razor.
I know John Moncur played with him at Tottenham. He was a character. He really was.
And he came in one time and he was like, he was angry about not playing. And we had for some reason, we had a massive watermelon in the dressing room in the middle of the dressing room. I don't know why. We had a massive watermelon and Johnny Moncur kind of came in and I don't know what he was upset about. Kind of went, oh, this watermelon, what's this doing here? Smashed it. Smashed it against the wall. Di Canio went crazy about wasting food and people are starving. There's people I totally, and it's only when he said it, and he said it so calmly. So, do you realise there's people in the world who've never even seen one of these? Your friend, you're wasting this. And at the time, you know, you're looking at Johnny Moncur, you're laughing, and then when Di Canio done that, all of a sudden everyone's saying, yeah, John, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. That's terrible. That's terrible to do. But that's what Di Canio was like. He was such a maverick of a man.
He had some ability though, didn't he?
Oh, mate, he was amazing.
Yeah.
What about that volley that he scored?
Oh, with Trevor, one with Trevor knocked across to him.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, and his preparation for training again. Another person in the gym, the way he trained, the intensity in which he trained. That's the kind of person he was.
Eric Cantona.
Wow.
I mean, extraordinary footballer. Slightly eccentric bloke, you would say, to put it mildly. He did the thing that, you know, often I suppose footballers will get tempted because they do get abused by supporters from time to time. But boy, did he get exact revenge.
Well, you can see he already had the ump, didn't he, when he got, because he was given the red card. I remember him walking off. He actually put his collar down before he went walking off. And you're right in what you say. We've all been hammered off the crowd before, whether you're walking onto a pitch or walking off to a pitch.
It was in my early days of punditry, actually, before I went into presenting. And I was on the show that night, and they came to me. I was thinking, what am I going to say about this? I'd only just started.
How's it going to go to you?
I think I just said something like, well, it's totally unacceptable, or something pathetic. But it was like, what is going on? It was like, you just couldn't believe what you were seeing.
No.
It's really strange because I don't know how, obviously you guys will look at it differently to me, but like, we've all been, like you say, Al, like you, Gal, we've all had stick, but the kind of stick that cuts to the quick, goes deep into your soul is something that, whatever he said to Eric Cantona, is something that, you know, players have been abused for years before. So when I first saw that, the first thing I thought was jealousy. I'm not sure how people would have reacted to me doing something like that, but it took a Frenchman to come through all the years of abuse that we've seen for him to say, I'm not taking that. There's no way you're going to walk up to me in the street and say something like that, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm just going to carry on walking, you're going to probably do something about it. You know what I mean? So then when you see Eric Cantona, and this is what I'm saying, it took a Frenchman to come here, to jump into a crowd and kung fu kick someone to make people realise that is not acceptable. You can't say stuff like that. So when I saw it, I was thinking to myself, you lucky bastard, Eric. And then to have someone like Sir Alex Ferguson back you like he did, you know what I mean? I'm not sure. You'd have to hope that you could have someone like Alex Ferguson who will just say to him, I don't care. That's what comes with Eric Cantona. And I'm going to take him back, and we're going to welcome him with open arms, and he's going to carry on making us win the league.
So, Ian, let's get this clear. You condone that kind of behaviour?
I shouldn't be taking this long to answer, should I? I don't think you can condone it, but I'm not gonna say I didn't think that Eric Cantona was in the wrong for doing that. Kick him. He's out of order what he said. Too many fans. There's too many fans around the world and especially in this country, who's got away with stuff like that. And Eric Cantona said, today, not today.
I mean, it was like everyone else. It was just mouth open, eyes wide open, thinking, what the hell am I looking at here? A player has jumped into the crowd and tried to 2-foot someone, one of the fans, for abusing him. And then all the players come scrambling around and having it. It was just chaos, wasn't it? I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's incredible.
But the thing is that, when I first came in, remember, I came straight off the Sunday morning pitches, Acne Marshes and everything. You know, those things weren't accepted. We were still fighting in car parks when I was 21. And then 6 months later, I was playing professional football. It was ridiculous. It was crazy. Yeah. People shouting stuff and you're thinking, who are you talking to like that? And they'd think, hang on a minute, I'm playing on a football pitch. I'm a professional now. You can't do anything about it. I had to do so much deep, suppressing of feelings. Yeah. The amount of times I've been on a football pitch where you feel like I'm gonna burst into tears. Yeah. With some of the stuff that they were saying in 1985. And
so some of the racist asides as well, Ian, you're talking about.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. Yeah, but in that time, Gal, that's what it was. And remember, I was playing Sunday morning football, and like I said, there's certain places we'd go and play in Thamesmead. We'd go and play on the Ferrier Estate. You know what I mean? Being a team with predominant black players, you'd end up sometimes having to run off the pitch, get in your car and zoom off. It was that hard. And when you talk about 6 months later, 8 months later, I'm a professional, people are shouting stuff, and I'm thinking, how'd you deal with that? It was very tough for me. Yeah. Very, very tough for me. So that's why I say, and I would never condone what Eric Cantona done, but I totally understand. Yeah. Totally understand. Yeah.
I mean, it must. I know this is a bit of a fun show, but this is a serious subject, and it must. Yeah. It must be incredibly difficult to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it's difficult to try to explain it to people, because people seem to think that when you're racially abused, you've got answers for what should happen about being racially abused. I ain't got a clue. No. You just want the collective to be able to come together. So as the more people that are pouring scorn on it together, which is happening now, a lot more, the more we're going to eradicate it, and it's going to push it into the corners. But for me, when it was happening, it's horrible. It's humiliating. It's humiliating. It's horrible to be standing there when you've got so many people. I saw a picture of me the other day. Someone sent me, and we was playing against Millwall. We was at home, and you could see the faces and what they were saying, and I contorted. And it was something that you literally are powerless, because you can't do anything about it. They're saying stuff about your parentage, your mum, your whatever it is, and it's just all going in, and there's nothing you can do. It's no worse a feeling you could have in the whole world.
No, I saw a few things myself back in the time when I with John Barnes. Saw obviously bananas, etc., thrown on the pitch. I remember sitting on an airplane next to John and two England. We used to share the plane with some England fans. Two England fans came down and said, "You shouldn't be allowed to wear an England shirt."
Wow.
How you deal with that sort of stuff, I really don't know. But as you say, the only way is to educate and continue talking about it.
Absolutely.
And which you've done so well and so eloquently over a long period of time. I don't know how I'm going to shift back into these moments of nonsense from what is obviously a much more serious subject. But Alan, human beings, footballers are human beings, and they are sure to react to certain things that are either thrown at them verbally or otherwise. Yeah,
it happened then, and I'm still sure it happens now with players and going to get a throw in or whatever. Whatever happens, you can still hear it going on in terms of what has been said to players, but players are expected to put up with it, and sometimes they lose their rag.
Yeah, as did Eric Cantona.
Absolutely, yes, he did. And at the end of the day, it makes people realise, because it's happening, and I'm just glad that off of the back of that, and as much as this is all about a laugh, and like I say, I loved some of these things because it makes you laugh, but that, for what happened and how it transpired and what happened from the back of it, is meant to happen.
Yeah,
it's meant to happen.
Okay, well, I do sense there's a bit more togetherness in this difficult period we're going through as well. A lot of people. So hopefully things will continue to improve. But I think that's it. Just to finish, as always, let's hear your top tens, starting with you, Alan.
10, Kevin Keegan. 9, Darren Bent. 8, Tamuri Kits-Bowyer. 7 was Keane and Vieira. 6 was the Arsenal players and Ruud van Nistelrooy. 5, Dyer and Bowyer fighting. 4 was Alan Pardew headbutt. 3, Suarez bite. 2 was Di Canio, and 1 was Eric Cantona.
And over to you, Ian, for yours.
Yeah, 10, Darren Bent beach ball. 9, Pardew Myler. 8, Kits-Bowyer. 7, Suarez Ivanovic bite. 6, Bowyer Dyer. 5, Ruud van Nistelrooy Arsenal players. Martin Kieron going crazy. 4, Di Canio, referee push. 3, Kevin Keegan, unbelievable. 2, Vieira and Keane, and 1, Eric Cantona.
Okay, that's fabulous. So just before we wrap it up, just perhaps one incident around football and a match you were involved with, a personal experience that you found particularly amusing that might possibly have sneaked into the top 10 if it were covered.
Well, it wasn't. I've got one. It wasn't particularly as drastic as these, but it was one of those situations. I was playing at Oldham and I was doing the pantomime villain. I was wasting time. I was going over. The fans were all over me. I was doing exactly what you do as an away player. And I remember the goalkeeper, he had a free kick. I was offside. I had a free kick and it was like maybe 5-10 yards outside the 18-yard box. And I wouldn't back off enough. To the point where, when the crowd get involved, when they get back, right? Sorry, get back. Then the referee blew and went like that, get back or she's going to get booked. So as I turned round to run off, goalkeeper kicked the ball, it hit me in the back of the head and I fell over. It was the loudest cheer. It was the loudest cheer ever. And even when I got up, I had to laugh about it because it was so funny. That was one of those that I thought to myself, that they can have that one. They can have that one.
It was something similar happened at when Newcastle played Leicester away, I think it was, and Olivier Bernard and Laurent Robert, who were best of friends in our dressing room. The ball had come to Laurent Robert, and Olivier was about, maybe 10, 15 yards away from him, and Laurent went to smash it away, just smash it up front, and he hit it straight clock on and onto Olivier's head. And it was as if he'd been, we shouldn't laugh really, but it was as if he'd been hit by a heavyweight boxer the way he staggered and tried to stay up, and then eventually just fell over.
I remember that. I remember that.
And then actually got up and then carried on, but shouldn't laugh at it. But somehow we all found it funny because they were best of mates.
Yeah. I was in a free kick in the wall and Stuart Pearce was taking a free kick. You know how serious Stuart was. And Pearce, he never saw him smiling his entire, even when he scored, he looked angry. And he hit this free kick like a rocket and hit me straight between the legs, right in the balls. I was like straight out like that. And it's the only time I'd ever seen him actually laugh. And he looked at the crowd and he was a big laugh like that. And that was it. So I think we've done. Of course, I'm not sure you'll necessarily want to disagree with our order of top 10 on this particular subject. It's just a bit of fun. I hope you enjoyed it too. We'll be back next week. But if you do want to put your top 10, you can always go to the BBC Sport website and do it, of course. Thanks very much, Alan. Thanks very much, Ian. Join us again next week.
Suddenly there was a big bang.
An explosion in the depths of space.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
3 astronauts in grave danger.
It looks grim.
As space exploration becomes a life or death situation.
We're not going to the moon anymore. We're going to just be damn lucky to get home.
13 Minutes to the Moon returns.
Well, we don't have much time.
The real story of Apollo 13.
There's one whole side of that spacecraft missing.
13 Minutes to the Moon, Season 2.
I literally got on my knees and prayed.
Listen on BBC Sounds.